My name is Meshia Adams, and I am a kidney transplant recipient. I've been on two types of dialysis modalities, peritoneal dialysis and hemodialysis. I started my journey as a kidney patient in 1994 when I was first diagnosed, and it was hard for me because I was a teenager, and so I didn't really take heed to what my doctor was saying because I didn't feel sick. And so I said, okay, you told me I've got kidney disease, but I don't really feel like I'm sick, so I'm going to continue on. Not too long after everything that he said I'd be feeling, I felt it. So I really took heed to, I'm sick and I need to change my lifestyle. So it started off with me feeling a little sluggish, not being able to hang out with my friends as much, and my energy level really going down. So I started to realize that, hey, I'm going to need help and a support system. Being young like that, I didn't really understand the impact of how it would affect my life. I tried to really comprehend what was going on, and it was difficult for me because as a young person and a teenager in my last year of high school, I really wanted to be like everyone else, and I really wanted to do everything else that my friends were doing, and I couldn't. And so that was difficult for me. I had a job, a part-time job, and I had to quit my job because I couldn't continue to work. I had a lot of swelling in my ankles, a little swelling in my extremities, and I noticed that I was different from everyone else, which I've come to realize it's a good thing to be different, but it was really difficult to accept that at a young age. I was on peritoneal dialysis for a period of about 4 months, and with a lot of prayer and dedication and commitment, I was able to receive a transplant. So I received my first transplant March of 1995. Seems like a long time ago today, but I still remember everything very vividly. I was blessed to have a cadaver kidney, and I only had to wait about 4 months on the list. During that process, I got called about 3 different times to be a backup. So on my 3rd time calling, I said, oh, okay, I'm being called, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to get the transplanted kidney. And so they called me in, hey, Meshia, can you come to the hospital? Yeah, I'm on my way. So I was hanging out with my friends, and I was like, guys, I got to go to the hospital. And so I went to the hospital, got checked in, got my gown on, and I remember my roommate was like, hey, what are you doing here? And I said, hey, I'm waiting to see if I can get a kidney transplant. I'm on the list. And she goes, great. And she goes, you're all by yourself? And I said, well, yeah, my family's not here because when they call you, you have to come right away. But they know I'm here. And so the team took me down to the OR, and they're prepping me, talking to anesthesia. And they said, Mrs. Hairston, I wasn't married at the time, we have an issue. And I said, what's wrong? Your kidney's stuck in traffic. And I said, okay. So it was delayed just a little bit. And then I remember counting backwards and then waking up the next day, and I started feeling like, okay, what do I have? Where's my new kidney? So I was excited to know that it took very well, and I did really well with it. That cadaver lasted about 15 years, and I was really blessed for it to last that long. With that, it was a new lease on life because I didn't feel sick. I knew I had something, but my mindset was that everyone has something, whether it's you can't play with your friends, or maybe it's the case that you have to take medicine for diabetes, but I had kidney disease. And so I think for me, when my lifestyle changed, I got used to the medication, but I slowly realized that, Meshia, you need to take hold back onto your life. And that was the turning point for me. So I was an advocate at an early age, and I didn't know it. So my kidney doctor really encouraged me, based on my positivity and based on me being a good patient, to really go out and talk to other people. And so I started to do that. I went to dialysis centers. I talked to different patients who were on the transplant list. And what I found to be interesting is that a lot of people didn't want a kidney transplant, and I didn't understand it. And I said, well, look at me. Don't you want to be healthy like me? But then I came to understand that people were scared. Some people couldn't understand the undertaking of what you had to do to go through the process. And really, some people just couldn't afford it. And that let me know how fortunate I was to really have a support system, to have a family, and where I was in life to go through that. And that made me think, there are a lot of people that can't speak up for themselves. There are a lot of people that don't understand the process. So what can I do to help other people? And so I started just talking to patients in my doctor's office, started saying, okay, what can I do now that I'm better? So I started going back to work. Ironically, I got my kidney transplant at a Nova Health system, so I started working at a Nova Health system to give back. Started off in patient registration, then moved to radiology, and then moved to human resources, and I've been in HR ever since. And I say that because it's not easy going to work and having this disease. Even though I have a kidney transplant, it's just a form of renal replacement, it's not a cure. So as a transplant recipient, I still go through many frustrations, even today, getting my medication on time. Sometimes my ankles will still, have fluid, and sometimes I just get frustrated because there are frustrations that come with being on dialysis or having a kidney transplant. When I had to have another kidney, because my kidney was failing, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go through the whole process again. So this is what chronic kidney disease looks like. So you really have to have a mindset to, what am I going to do next? I have to go through the same process. And you always go back to what you're used to or what you remember. So that's what I did. So I said, I'm probably going to be feeling kind of sluggish, a little slow. Some fluid would build up. And then I would just have to wait on the transplant list. The second time around was more difficult, I would have to say. I had to have 2 hip replacements. I had a bout of cancer. And that was difficult for me. I knew that I would overcome it. I also had pneumonia and almost died. I chose to be on peritoneal dialysis the second time around as well. And when I did it, the first time I had PD, they had like a clamp system. It was kind of old school. So the new time that I did it, the second time around, there was a dial system. So it had improved quite significantly. So I was happy to hear that. I changed from PD to hemodialysis when I had my hip surgery because I didn't know how I was going to do getting up and down doing the PD. So I said, let me go in-center. I was interested to try a different modality and being a patient, and then I'd be able to talk to other people as well. I wouldn't just be by myself. So I did hemodialysis in-center probably for about 2 years. So if you can imagine being a patient and then waiting 4 months for a transplant, and then a year goes by, and then another year goes by, I got a little discouraged because I was like, when am I going to get my transplant? And then talking to other people, I know that they've waited quite a long time. And so I was like, Meshia, you just have to be patient. And so I was, and by the grace of God and a lot of prayer, I received a second transplant, and that was from my husband. And that was July of 2012. So ever since then, I've been doing really well, and I'm really happy about that. I would say that kidney disease significantly changed my life in many ways. Firstly, I would say that I'm more humble as a person. I'm more patient as a person. And I look at life differently. I really cherish every single day that I'm here and living, and that I'm alive. I had a brother who recently passed away from kidney disease, so that was hard for me. He had a kidney transplant and a pancreas transplant, and his kidney didn't take as well, so it failed, and he didn't do too well on dialysis. His body wasn't accepting it. So that really hit home for me, and that really made me see that you can't just assume that when you have a transplant or there's another option for you that it's going to work out. So you really take life every day as it comes, and it's really taught me to really cherish people around me who help me, people who have been there for my support, and for me really to keep going and to talk up on behalf of others, and to, be compassionate towards everyone, because you never know what people are going through. I think that I've been really blessed to have a superb support team, whether that's my physicians, social workers, my family and friends who have really stuck beside me. And during my journey, I'm still on that path. I try my best to really help other people, not just in the kidney community, but as a whole. And I see people as an individual. I see people and I value them for who they are. And I hope that people see me outside of my kidney disease. I like to tell people that kidney disease is just a part of Meshia. It explains part of my life, but it doesn't define me. And so there are no limitations that I have. I think that anyone who goes through this, whether it's a chronic illness, whether you've been through some kind of sickness, it really changes you in a positive way, that you're able to embrace that, and really to be able to tell your story is powerful, because it took a long time for me to be able to tell my story and share my story. And a lot of people would say, hey, Mesha, you have a great testimony, why don't you share? And I think people don't understand, as a patient, you go through different stages in your life and through the journey. I was angry, I was really sad, I was depressed, and some of those things, even though you have a great support system, you don't feel comfortable with telling people. And I had so many people around me that loved me, but I felt like I was alone still, just because of how I was feeling, and I felt like no one else could relate to me. And then when I got around other patients, that really did help me, because I was able to connect. And although I have wonderful doctors, it's not the same as talking patient to patient. So I've also learned on my journey that, you have to be patient and humble during this experience. And when I've reached out to other patients, I can't assume that they're going to be ready to talk to me, because they could be somewhere else on their journey where they're not ready to do so. And so it's been really a pleasure. And that may sound funny, because I wouldn't wish kidney disease on anyone. But also, if I didn't go through this, and I believe that there's purpose in your pain. I believe that there's purpose in your journey and what you go through to prepare you for further on what's in life and what you have to overcome. I've been blessed to really meet great people in the kidney community, and I wouldn't have known that without going through this.